everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It's Letitia here. Isaiah is over there if you can see his little hand. And today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my labor and delivery story. So just jumping right into it, because all my mamas out there know recording and getting ready and doing all that, it's kind of hard with a baby. So just to give you guys a little bit of background before jumping into the day I delivered, so you guys can kind of understand when I do get into that. I actually had to be admitted into the hospital around or on Valentine's Day, so February 14th. I went to the hospital around 10 o'clock at night because Isaiah wasn't moving around as much as he normally did. Even though they say the farther along you are in your pregnancy, the baby doesn't move as much, he was a very active baby. It was hard for me to catch him on camera, but he did move around a lot. So that night I was with Steven, and I just didn't feel him moving around in my belly as much, so I got a little bit worried. I called the on-call doctor and I explained to him what happened, and he didn't sound too concerned, but he said that if I did feel the need to come in, to just come in just to make sure, because of course the baby is important. So I did decide to go in, because even when I pushed on my belly, I laid on different kinds of positions, I ate sweet foods to try and get him to move around. He wasn't moving. On the way there, I did feel him kick twice, but I still wanted to go just to make sure that everything was okay. So when I got there, the doctors did hook me up to a monitor, and I ended up having to be admitted into the hospital because while being hooked up onto the monitor, his heart rate dropped while they were monitoring him. So on the monitor you can see the baby's movements, you can see their heart rate, and you can see your heart rate as well as your contractions. So as soon as I got hooked up, the lady said, "Are you sure you don't feel him moving? Because he's moving a lot on the monitor." But I wasn't feeling anything. And that was another thing. I ended up having to stay there from February 14th all the way into the 19th. And that whole time his heart rate dropped at least once per 24 hours, and they don't let you leave the hospital unless you can go a full 24 hours without the baby's heart rate dropping. So by the time the 19th rolled around, I was cleared to go home, and I was so happy because I didn't have my baby shower yet. My mom planned the baby shower so late, and I told her, watch me end up having the baby before then, just because we had the baby shower so late. So my baby shower was February 24th, and I got out of the hospital February 19th. And I also ended up going right back to work because the way that the FMLA with my job is set up, the days that you take off get deducted from your FMLA, because when you leave, they actually give you your time off in including your FMLA. So I wanted to try and save as many days as possible, but that's besides the point. So I ended up going back to work and also making it to the baby shower, which was the 24th of February, as I said. And we know that February is a short month, so I only have 4 more days to make it to March after my baby shower, because I really wanted to have a March baby. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you guys could see that I was really hanging in there and I was rooting to make it to March. So I did end up making it. March 2nd rolls around. You know, my mucus plug had came out the day or two after I got out of the hospital, so I knew that the time was coming. So March 2nd came, and it was a Friday. So since the baby's heart rate had dropped, they needed me to be monitored once a week until I delivered. So that Friday on March 2nd, I had a non-stress test. So that is when they hook you up to the monitor for at least 20 minutes to monitor the baby's heart rate and everything, just to make sure that everything is okay. So I did leave work early that day. But rewinding a little bit, that morning I had to open at work, so 7:30 shift, and on my 7:30 day, since I was so tired, I would try and sleep in as long as I could. So that morning I didn't go to the bathroom. Number 2, I felt like I had to go, but it wasn't like to the point where I had to wake up early and go to the bathroom and do all my business. So that day at work, I was having pains in my belly that were like down in my butt area, so I felt like I should have went to the bathroom. So I kept on taking bathroom breaks at work. Mind you, my whole pregnancy was pretty smooth. I never felt contractions, only the Braxton Hick ones where my stomach will get really hard and uncomfortable, but it was never to the point where they were excruciating and I felt the need to go to the doctor or anything. But that day at work, I just felt like something was off. I felt like he was coming sooner than I thought. Like I just had that gut feeling, because I was just having those weird pains, but I just thought I had to go to the bathroom because they were bearable contractions. Like now that I look back on it, I know that they were contractions, but in that moment, they didn't feel like contractions to me. So yeah, I just kept on taking bathroom breaks at work. I left work early, went to my non-stress test. Everything was fine. And by the time we were leaving the non-stress test, it was really bad outside. It was a really bad storm. Like, I'm not gonna say hail, but it was like raining mixed with snow, and it was freezing and windy. It was just really bad. But I still wanted to get some snacks because, you know, pregnancy and your cravings. So I made Steven take me to go get some snacks, and we went to his house just so we can chill. And by the time we got to his house, I also posted a video on my Instagram explaining how that day went for me, because we recorded a video of my big old belly and just explained that that was the day that I ended up having my baby. And I remember that day going to his house. I said, well, let me just go to the bathroom, see if that helps my contractions, because they started getting a little bit worse, and I started to realize that they were contractions because of how painful they were getting. And I would get on all fours to relieve the pain and just let my belly like float there. So I went to the bathroom. They didn't get really any better, so I took a hot shower because we were already wet and everything from the snow and the rain hitting us. So I figured, okay, let me just take a hot shower, see if that relieves the pain a little bit. So I did get in the shower, and it did help with the pain. But if you read that post, the minute that I got out of the shower, my water broke. And the way that I knew my water broke was when I got out of the shower, I started having a really bad contraction. So on the little mat that you have sitting outside of the shower to, you know, let the water drip onto, I leaned onto that on all fours again, and literally a gush of water just came rushing out. And it wasn't like the normal discharge that you get throughout your pregnancy. It was like more liquidy. It was like a clear consistency. It was like almost like water, but it had like a little bit more gooiness to it, I guess you can say. And I looked at Steve and I said, I think my water just broke. And he was just like, what? How do you know? And I was like, I don't know. I was just like freaking out. So I sat in the toilet and I said, okay, let me just see, maybe like pee came out or something. And it just started coming out more. Not a lot, but it was just like kind of like you turn on the spigot a little bit and like a stream of water comes out. That's how it was. And I knew it wasn't my pee, so I called my mom while I was on the toilet. I was like, Mom, I think my water just broke. I said, I don't know what to do, I'm scared. She's like, Tish, calm down, go to the hospital, go right now, I'm not trying to hear it. I was just like, Mom, I gotta call the doctor, I gotta make sure that my water broke. I don't know if this is it, because I was in denial and I was just like freaking out. Mind you, even though me and Steven had already been to the hospital earlier the previous month, we hadn't had our hospital bag packed yet. So literally, as I'm getting dressed and everything, we were trying to pack up a few things that we knew we would need in the midst of everything. Because even though my water broke, I wasn't really in a panic or anything. And I also didn't have it registered in my mind that my water actually broke. I was still in denial, trying to get in contact with the doctor. It was after hours, so I had to wait for the on-call doctor to call me back. So I was waiting for that, and while getting dressed and waiting for the doctor to call me, I didn't feel anything coming out still. So I was like, maybe my water didn't really break. I was just like so in denial, it's not even funny. And finally the doctor called me back by the time I was in the car. So she asked me, she said, when you stand up, do you feel anything coming out? And I was in the car, not standing up, so I just relayed it back to when I was at the house, and I was like, no, not really, because when I was at the house standing up, nothing was coming out, which is why I was trying to convince myself that my water didn't break. And then she's like, okay, well, try and push. Tell me if something comes out or anything like that. So I pushed on the phone with her, and a gush of stuff came out. So I was just like, yes, it did. And then she's just like, your water broke. I'll see you at the hospital. So it's just like, great. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. So on the way there, nothing really more came out or anything, but it took us a while to get there. It was kind of far from my house, the hospital that we were delivering at, and since it was such a bad storm, there was a lot of detours with fallen trees and everything like that. So it took us a while to get there, and my family ended up beating us there. So we got there, and they sent me to triage, I think it's called. They sent me to triage, but before that they told me to go to the bathroom, which I did. And the minute that I peed and sat back down in the wheelchair, all of this water started coming out, like a lot of water. So they laid me up on the bed, they hooked me up to the monitor, they checked to see how dilated I was, and I was 3.5 centimeters, and my baby's heart rate ended up dropping again on the monitor, and they're just like, this is the exact reason you were here last time. But they weren't really freaking out about it. So they sent me to my room. They had me get into my, well, they had already in my scrubs and everything, but the doctors were trying to hook me up to my IV, and they literally stuck me like 10 times per arm, to the point where I was so bruised, because the needle kept bursting or something like that, they kept saying. And all I can remember is Steven's face being so pissed because they kept on sticking me with the IV. So yeah, but I didn't really care about it. I was taking it like a champ. I didn't really mind the needles throughout the pregnancy. I was pretty good. All I could think about was meeting the baby, so I didn't really mind them sticking me so many times with the IV. But yeah, the nurse put Pitocin, I believe, in my IV to increase the contractions or pick them up or something like that. So yeah, she did that, and my whole pregnancy was pretty smooth. I didn't feel contractions like that, like I said, just the Braxton Hicks ones, which were uncomfortable, but they didn't hurt me. When I was hooked up to the monitor back in February, they saw my contractions on the monitor because they could see my contractions, my heart rate, the baby's movements, and the baby's heart rate. And my contractions were really long and apparently strong, but I never felt any of them. So I'm grateful for that. But the minute that she put that stuff in me, when I tell you guys, I wanted to cry. My contractions started hurting like I never felt before. I was cursing up a storm, and the lady was like, you can't curse. And I was just like, bitch, I'll curse if I want to. This fucking hurts. What the fuck do you mean I can't curse? Like, I was going through it. And I had it in my mind that if I were to get an epidural early, and I don't know when I'm going to start pushing, that it would wear off. And they were just like, girl, no, you get the epidural, you're fine, it doesn't wear off or anything. So it's like, yeah, give me the epidural then. And the thing is, with the anesthesiologist, you have to be careful when you do ask for the epidural, because you don't know where they are. They could be in the hospital, they could be at home, you don't know where they are. And I got to the hospital around 6 p.m. and I don't remember when I got the epidural, but the point is, the anesthesiologist could have been home for all you know. Look, he's waking up. Let me go get him. Hold on. Prince Isaiah's here, being a little grumpy man. Say hello. Say hello, cranky man. No? Here. Don't look at the puppy lip. Don't do the puppy lip, puppy. Here. So, yeah, I ended up telling them that I wanted the epidural because I could not handle the pain anymore. They ended up they completed breaking my water. They said that I still had a few bags that needed to be broken. So she stuck her fingers up there and took like a ruler thing. And directly after that, all of this water started gushing out, and I was so frustrated because I started having a big contraction. I was like, yeah, I cannot handle this. I need the epidural now. So finally, I got the epidural. Didn't hurt that bad, as much as I thought that it would. My sister and my boyfriend witnessed it, and they said it looked scary because it was like a long needle going up your back, but it was good. I took it like a champ. All I knew was that I wanted that pain to go away, so I just took it. I was like, whatever. So about 15 to 20 minutes later, I went from The Exorcist to like the sweetest angel you will ever meet. Like, I felt so good. I felt my legs starting to go numb, but I was just like, whew, I was chilling after that. So yeah, so I fell asleep. I remember falling asleep on and off. I only woke up whenever they came to check like my temperature and my blood pressure and everything. And my mom wasn't in the room at the moment because she was keeping my dad and my siblings company in the waiting area. So just my sister and Steven were with me at the time. And those were really the only times I remember waking up. But around 10 o'clock, the nurse came in to check my vitals and everything again. And she noticed that the baby's heart rate dropped. So she started freaking out and she went to go get one of the main doctors. And she came rushing in to check to see how dilated I was. And I was so excited because getting your cervix checked was one of the worst things. I hated it. But since I had the epidural and I couldn't feel anything, I couldn't even feel her checking me. So I was just like, yes. But she checked me and I was a full 10 centimeters dilated. And all I remember her saying is, okay, time to push. And I was just like, rubbing crust out of my eyes and stuff, and I'm just like, what? It's time to push already? I was like, oh my god. I said, it's really time. So everybody started coming in. It went from being dark in the room to like full-blown lights everywhere, getting the table set up with all of the equipment and everything, putting my jello legs on top of like the little holsters, and I was just like laying there like, wow, it's really time for me to almost about to be meeting my baby boy. So like the whole time I was getting like a little bit frustrated because my sister, my mom was by my legs, my sister was by my side, and Steven was by my head. And my mom just kept saying, Isaiah, I see you, I see you. And then my sister was like, oh my gosh, I see his hair. Oh my gosh, his hair is so long. Because that was like one of the first things I said, if you guys see hair, let me know. Because all that heartburn I had, my baby better be hairy. So I was excited when they said that. And I pushed for a total of 50 minutes. About 50 minutes, they said. And his head was like there the majority of my pregnancy. Whenever they checked my cervix and everything, they said they could feel his head, that his head was really low. He was always in good positioning and everything. He was like ready to come out. So I pushed for a total of 50 minutes and I could feel the pressure. It didn't hurt. I didn't feel anything. Like being at the hospital in the previous month, I heard women giving birth and they were like crying and screaming. But that wasn't me. I was just like, I was doing it like a champ. Like I didn't feel anything. So I felt the pressure of his head going towards coming out, but I couldn't feel pain, like I said. And the doctor, she just told me I was doing really good and everything. My pushes were really good with each contraction. But yeah, I was doing really good. But his head just kept going and going, but it wouldn't come out all the way. So she ended up having to cut me twice with some scissors. I know, I was like, ew. But yeah, by the time she snipped me, I did one more good push and he was out. And my mom just started crying. My sister started crying. I was looking at Steven and he was in shock. I was looking at the baby on my belly. He couldn't get all the way up to my chest because his umbilical cord was short and fat, the doctor said. So he wasn't able to go up as far as he could. And we couldn't film the actual experience of me pushing, only when Steven could cut the umbilical cord. And that was one of my requests to not cut the umbilical cord fast, to wait a few minutes or a couple of seconds, because all the nutrients from the placenta, I wanted to go to the baby before snipping it away from him. So they did that, and I'm going to insert the clip of Steven cutting the umbilical cord because I want that to be saved forever. And if I ever lose my phone or break it, I want to be able to have it somewhere saved. And I just think that it's cool. So if you don't want to see that, skip through. Almost. We got him in one more.
On the hook. Oh, come on. Now you can pick him up.
All right. But yeah, he cut his umbilical cord, and on March 2nd, 2018, Isaiah Mackay Trung was born at 6 pounds, 10 ounces, 19.7 inches at 11:08 p.m. And now here my precious baby boy is, fat and chunky monkey. I love him so much. But yeah, let's show you real quick. My handsome boy. Let me show you what his shirt says, if I can. Ooh, it says current mama's boy, future ladies man, which ain't happening because I'm beating every bitch up. But yeah, he's here. He's healthy. I delivered a little bit over 37 weeks. Is what they say. So technically he was a preterm baby, but in my earlier ultrasound, my last ultrasound, I think I was 30 something weeks pregnant for my last ultrasound, and she said I was measuring farther along than they thought, and I always measured to be farther along than what the GYN predicted. He was due March 20th. I had him March 2nd. So I personally believe that he was full term because he's a very healthy baby, and I always went kind of based off of what the ultrasound tech said because I believe that they would know better than just predicting off of your last period. I do want to record his monthly growth. So each month I want to record basically what has happened with him throughout the month, what new things happened, and just his growth and process throughout life. Because if you guys do follow me on social media, you know I love to document him. My Instagram is his Instagram now, and I post about him like every other second. So I want to upload to YouTube too, so I can keep it forever and share his journey with you guys. So if you guys are interested in that, or if you guys want to see more from baby Isaiah and I, or just to support, I just hope that you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, follow me on my social media, and I'll see you guys in my next video.